Good morning. Welcome to Mission Control Houston. This is the home of the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where there's a team of specialists on duty around the clock to monitor all of the station's systems and assist the Expedition 57 crew members with their work. This week's work for Commander Alex Gerst and flight engineers Serena Onen-Chancellor and Sergei Prokopiev included experiment operations as well as maintenance on some of the hardware they use to accomplish science research that cannot be accomplished in the one-gravity environment of Earth.
Houston Station on Space to Ground.
Welcome to Space to Ground. I'm Natalie Gogans. This week on station, the crew got fired up for science. Expedition 57 Commander Alexander Gerst performed some needed maintenance on the ACME insert in the SIR combustion chamber. SIR, or Combustion Integrated Rack, enables safe combustion research in microgravity. Its plug-and-play approach supports a wide variety of studies on droplet, solid fuel, and gaseous fuel combustion. The ACME, Advanced Combustion via Microgravity Experiments project, investigates 5 different studies with the goals of improving fuel efficiency, reducing pollution byproducts from combustion, and preventing spacecraft fires by better understanding material flammability. An external experiment on station is providing new insights to pulsars. The Neutron Star Interior Composition Explorer, or NICER, provides high-precision measurements of neutron stars, also known as pulsars. Pulsars are the incredibly dense, crushed cores that remain after a supernova. Because pulsars shine most brightly in narrow beams that sweep the sky as they rotate, they appear to pulse like a lighthouse beacon. This knowledge could revolutionize space navigation by using pulsars as beacons to guide our future exploration of space. The first astronauts slated to fly on new spacecraft from Boeing and SpaceX were joined by a pair of future space station crew members from Japan for a marathon taste test in NASA's food lab. All crew members bound for the station get a chance to sample the cosmic menu that will sustain them while they spend time in microgravity. To see the latest news as we march toward once again launching astronauts from America, visit nasa.gov/commercial-crew. Our Twitter question comes from Sharkbait. They want to know, what is the best time to attempt ham radio contact with crew aboard the ISS? Ham radio has been a part of human space exploration since 1983. Crew members have the option of making calls with ham radio amateurs on their personal time. Your best chance is likely on the weekends between 0600 and 2130 GMT. Additionally, the amateur radio on the International Space Station program, or ARIS, connects students in schools or public forums like museums with crew members on board. Applications are open now until November 30th for 2019 sessions at www.aris.org. Keep sending in your questions using the hashtag #SpaceToGround. We'll see you next week.
And Natalie showed you some of the commercial crew program astronauts involved in one space station training event here in Houston. Those astronauts have been busy at locations all over the country, getting familiar with their new spaceships and training for their historic first flights, which are targeted to happen next year. Here's some of what it looks like as the astronauts get themselves prepared for their next trip to space.
We've had the opportunity to try on the suits, to sit in the seats, to interact with the displays, the emergency egress systems for any type of emergency egress from the pad. It's been pretty fun, actually, checking out all the hardware.
Because NASA has not done a flight test program for a spaceship since the space shuttle. So you're talking late 70s, early 80s, the last time we kind of did this as an agency. So some of it is kind of relearning those techniques and those things that you need to make sure you're watching out for.
We'll be brushing up on all the long-duration spaceflight tasks that we've trained for over the years, including spacewalking and robotics and all the space station systems.
But then we're going to learn all about the new vehicle, all about our suits, how we're going to operate in that vehicle, emergency procedures.
You're going to have kind of this hybrid, if you will, for these first flights where you're helping develop things and at the same time you're getting training.
We're going to be building what it is the crew member needs to know. Things that are really neat to me that are new is putting on a new spaceship, putting your arms into it and actually getting to touch the screens, just like you did as an operator when you're going into space.
So those skills that we honed in test pilot school and then later on as test pilots, I think they're going to be put to use in flying these vehicles. It's a new set of hardware and it's a new set of software.
For all the folks that are following along throughout the world, I really would like them to recognize that there's a huge team that makes this possible, that when I get the opportunity to board one of these spacecraft and fly into space, that I will have been propped up by a team of engineers that made this happen.
Its position 250 miles above Earth makes the International Space Station a great location for scientific research about the planet. For example, just this summer, a new instrument was delivered which gathers information about how plants on Earth sweat, which provides data to scientists who are monitoring the health of Earth's vegetation.
Sweating can be cool. Presented by Science at NASA. Did you ever notice how the air can seem cooler when you enter a forest? Humans aren't the only living things that sweat to cool off. When trees and plants sweat, they cool themselves and can cool the surrounding air. Through a process called transpiration, water and nutrients are taken up by plant roots from soil and delivered to the stem and leaves as part of photosynthesis. Some of the water drawn up through the roots exits the plants through pores or stomata in its leaves, hence the sweating. As this sweat evaporates, heat is removed from the air, providing a cooling effect. However, if there isn't enough water available or relative humidity gets too high, the stomata close. The plant heats up, ceases to grow, and can eventually die. Healthy plants provide a number of ecosystem services to humans, including food, recreation, and building materials. Plants also impact Earth's global water and carbon cycles, with plant transpiration accounting for around 10% of the moisture in our atmosphere. A new NASA mission called EcoStress, short for Ecosystem Spaceborne Thermal Radiometer Experiment on Space Station, was successfully launched to the International Space Station on June 29, 2018. EcoStress will literally study how plants sweat, providing the most detailed measurements of plant temperatures available from space and helping researchers monitor the health of Earth's vegetation. Your temperature is one of the first things a doctor wants to know when you go for a checkup, says Simon Hook, EcoStress principal investigator from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It tells your doctor a lot about your condition. Temperature is an extremely useful indicator for plants too. Temperature data can indicate if a plant is stressed and needs more water before the plant collapses, providing an early warning of a possible drought, explains Hook. EcoStress will be able to measure plant temperatures and therefore plant health over areas as small as an individual field of crops. The International Space Station is well suited for the EcoStress mission. Hook says, most Earth-observing satellites are in a sun-synchronous orbit, so they pass over an area at the same time each day, providing us a daily snapshot of that area. Because of the space station's orbit, EcoStress sees the same spot on Earth every few days at different times of day, so it can track changes throughout a typical day. If, during a hot, dry afternoon, plants stop releasing water to conserve supplies, EcoStress will see a change in temperature compared with previous measurements of the same area. It will detect these kinds of responses in farmers' fields and other ecosystems. Data acquired from EcoStress may, in time, help farmers develop crop watering protocols, give researchers a clearer understanding of the effects of drought, and assist water resource managers in planning effective water use. Its data could also reveal the effects of droughts on natural vegetation. For example, to help identify vulnerable types of trees. Forest managers and ecologists will be able to use this information to make better informed decisions. But that's not all. EcoStress temperature data will be useful in a whole host of ways, says Hook. We'll be able to use the same techniques developed to extract plant temperature to look at other phenomena such as the temperature of volcanoes, urban heat waves, wildfires, coastal currents, lakes, and more. That's a whole story in itself. Want to learn more about this cool mission? No sweat. Just visit science.nasa.gov.
Here's another example of how the International Space Station is helping scientists learn more about plants. The Plant Gravity Perception Investigation is germinating seeds in microgravity in order to study a plant's ability to detect gravity and then adapt to grow in that environment, which will be necessary on future missions to deep space in which crews will need to grow some of their own food.
Think about the fact that the shape of every plant you've ever seen is the result of gravity sensing. Every plant has gravity sensing cells, and those cells contain dense bodies. They're packed with starch, and when that organ is displaced away from its starting position, those dense starch-filled packets, they fall to the lower wall of the cell. What we don't know is much about what happens after that. And so our experiment is aimed at what's the least amount of gravity that a plant can detect and cause that kind of sedimentation. And the way we're getting at that is to add fractional gravity to plants as they grow and ask the plant, how about that? Can you feel that much? How about, here's a little bit more. We'll turn it up just a little more. Can you feel that? We're growing 120 of these at all different gravity levels on the station. So we have planned a whole series of experiments at fractional gravity levels while we're visualizing the plants as they grow. So we have a cell culture chamber that has 2 rotors, centrifuge rotors, and these sort of stack, they align along the radius of the rotor at different distances. And the amount of gravity experienced by the plant varies depending on how far it is along that rotor arm. Our lowest treatment, I think, is down to about 6 1,000ths of a G, all the way up to 1 G to get a good control for Earth response. Plant shape is critical in breeding programs to determine optimal growth for crop productivity in roots and in shoots. So lots of potential applications, both off the Earth and on the Earth.
In addition to being the hands-on laboratory assistants for science research in space, the International Space Station's crew members use some of their time to share the experience and help students learn about scientific concepts. Earlier this year, astronaut Scott Tingle released this demonstration video about the importance of nutrition for men and women who are of this planet, if not on it at the moment.
Hello, and welcome to the International Space Station. My name is Scott Tingle. Here on the space station, we live in a microgravity environment, which makes eating here a very unique experience. To stay healthy, we have to maintain a nutritious diet, just like we would back on Earth. Let's go take a look at some of our food and drinks and check out our meal preparation area. During long-duration spaceflight, we have to make sure that we receive enough energy, proteins, and vitamins. Our food lab back on Earth makes sure we get plenty of each as they carefully prepare, test, and package everything. We combine all of this excellent nutrition with exercise to ensure our bodies stay healthy and strong while we're here. We eat 3 square meals a day, just like we do on Earth, and maybe throw in a snack or 2. One of my most favorite foods to eat are natural raisins. Here on Space Station, we have to keep our calories up if we want to get all our work done. And the carbohydrates in these raisins really help. And they're kind of fun to eat, too. And how do we stay hydrated in microgravity? With these special pouches. They're filled with water, and we use a straw that has a one-way valve that prevents water from floating out of the pouch while we're not drinking from it. Here's a liquid drink. This is a tropical punch for today. I love drinking fluids on station. Here on station, we have a pretty cool food preparation area. We have a place to get fresh water for us to drink or to put in our rehydratable foods. And we also have an oven to put food in. We pick out some of our favorite foods, chicken fajita for me, Put it in the oven. Close the door and turn it on. In about 15 minutes, I'm gonna have a warm meal. Thanks for exploring a little nutrition with me. I'm gonna send you back to Earth so you can create your very own astronaut menus. See you again soon.
Robotic technology that was originally developed for the International Space Station has found a way to help humans here on Earth in the operating room. The company that developed and built the space station robotic arm, Canadarm2, has worked with a medical device manufacturer to create an automated robotic arm that tracks the movement of a surgeon's tools and helps expedite brain and spinal surgeries.
The International Space Station is probably the most fantastic vehicle ever built.
It's a one-of-a-kind laboratory orbiting about 250 miles above the Earth.
And we perform experiments on the International Space Station.
We can do science, we can do experiments, we can learn how to do things out of this world. And the result will help benefit the people on the ground.
So not only that, but we're also seeing benefits of how we actually assembled the space station.
So the International Space Station in its design was essentially designed like a Lego toy. Lots of big pieces that need to be put together. Some of these pieces are going to be about the size of a city bus.
We needed a way of manipulating or moving these big pieces and very precisely putting them together.
Canada worked with its contractor, which was MDA, and with that company came up with a design that was going to meet the needs of the International Space Station.
The solution to that was using a fairly large robotic arm. And that system ended up being Canadarm2. It could move around the space station, grab payloads, move them to where they needed to be so that the space station could be assembled.
You couldn't have built a vehicle like the International Space Station without a robotic system like this.
And that was when we started talking to Synaptive Medical.
Knowing that MDA has done this before in space, we thought it would be very easy for them to bring that experience and that technology into the neurosurgical area and help us with our medical robotics. We worked with MDA to create Drive. Drive is a robot mounted onto a base that holds a surgical camera that can be automatically positioned to any surgical instrument that's tracked by our system.
What this arm does, it follows you and it tracks you, so it speeds up efficiency.
Ultimately, using the Drive system allows the surgeon to have shorter surgical times, which means shorter recovery times for the patient, and ultimately that's better for the hospital and the patient.
But what the robot does for us is that it allows us to do it safer. You can do it better with less harm to the patient.
The software that runs on the Drive system is directly derived from the software that runs the Canadarm2 on the International Space Station.
Those robotics work with and alongside an astronaut to enhance what they do. So that connection is a very direct and real one.
Right now, it's probably the most used system that we could say is derived from the things we did on Space Station, and we're pretty proud of that.
And I've seen the arm before, we've seen it on the space station, but I never put the two and two together that I'd have the same arm in the OR at some time now.
I think everybody has this dream of how robotics are going to become more and more a part of everyday life. The things that we do with robotics on the space station is basically pushing those dreams forward. And we evolve the system, we gain the knowledge, we gain the experience, the expertise. So this is kind of the unexpected benefits that we get out of doing a program like the International Space Station.
One of the major goals of the mission now underway in low Earth orbit is to learn what we need to know to make future missions out into deep space successful. Those missions will be flown on the Orion spacecraft, which is being developed and built right now by teams across America and in Europe. Take a look at some recent achievements from earlier this year. While NASA works on the hardware that will make a human mission to Mars possible, it has also been collaborating with the Project Mars International Film and Art Competition. This competition was designed to allow college students and early career professionals to learn about NASA's plans for Mars exploration and create their own vision of that future. Of the 120 films submitted, 24 of them from 9 countries were sent to a panel of judges from the aerospace and film production fields. The winners were announced 2 weeks ago. Here is the grand prize winner from 3 filmmakers in New York, New York, Rendezvous with Mars.
Repeat.
सकुचाये मन इटले धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो काहे सकुचाये मन इटले धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो अपना रास्ता देख लिया जब खुद से चलना सीख लिया मन धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो अपना रास्ता देख लिया जब खुद से चलना सीख लिया मन धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो काहे सकुचाये मन इटले धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो धीर धरो तुम धीर धरो मन धीर धरो धीर धरो मन धीर धरो एक जाए एक जाए एक जाए एक जाए एक जाए दूजा जाए काहे सकुचाये मन इटले धीर धरो
You can see the other prize winners and all the finalists, too, at the website projectmarscompetition.org, where you can learn more about this whole project and also see the winners in the posters competition. That's projectmarscompetition.org. If you'd like another look at any of the other stories we featured today, check us out on YouTube and Facebook. There are the addresses in the handy blue box. While you're there, take a look at the other cool stuff you can find about NASA and America's human spaceflight program. And you should also check out Houston, We Have a Podcast, which features folks here at NASA talking about their work in all aspects of space exploration. The new episodes post on Fridays. Today, October 26th, Gary Jordan talks with some folks from NASA headquarters about the agency's work with Hollywood, and you'll hear from some of the cast members of the new movie First Man. Go to nasa.gov/podcasts, where you can find today's episode and all the Houston We Have a Podcast catalog. You can also find the full library of all NASA podcasts. Of course, you can also listen to them all on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and SoundCloud. This is Mission Control, Houston.